Financial literacy, the actual definition of it is the education and the understanding of knowing how money is made, how money is spent, and how money is saved, right? Those three components. And for all of us that are here today, we're all, first generation college students, right? We're all, from some of us are from low income backgrounds, meaning we get financial aid, we get assistance from the federal government to help assist us, right? So finances, sometimes typically in a first generation, household, it's not really discussed. And I know I'm the oldest out of 5 children. I'm a Mount SAC alum as well from, 1999. But growing up, it was I just saw parents working. I saw parents have credit cards, but I didn't really understand this is how you save. This is how you budget your money. And I wish I would have known those things as a student, because that would have helped me in my educational trajectory with credit cards and with debt. And I kind of learned the hard way, right? So in the ACES program, because we're federally funded, it is something that we're required to provide you some type of financial literacy every semester, right? Every time we meet. So this is our effort to do that, to convey some really important knowledge. And we're bringing basically to you, now Mount SAC is doing financial literacy as a whole to all Mount SAC students. So we're very excited this afternoon to have 2 financial literacy members here with us this afternoon, sharing our space and dropping some knowledge, some financial literacy knowledge. So I have Lisa Amos, who's the faculty coordinator for financial literacy. And then we also have Patience, who works with financial literacy. So I'll give it over to them so you all can take it away. So thank you both for being here with us this afternoon. Thank you.
Like Diana, in one way, I never really felt like I got financial literacy like I needed to growing up. I had 2 parents with PhDs though. So I think part of it too is we take what we need when we need it. And so you may be having it spoon-fed to you and it works and you're going along with it. You may have it shoved down your throat and you gag on it and are like, get it away from me. I don't want to deal with this. It's not my thing. It's just one of those things that it's tricky to say when the right time is. So one of the wonderful things about the work that we're doing as of not quite 3 weeks ago now with the Mount SAC Mountie Money Management Center is to provide ongoing resources for students. So when you need things, we're there for you. When you have questions, we're there for you. Our topic today is money management basics. I'm the faculty coordinator for financial literacy efforts for the college as of not quite a year ago. And so I am thrilled. I teach personal finance. I've been teaching personal finance for about 10 to 15 years. I've been at Mount SAC as faculty in the Family and Consumer Studies program for 18 years. So this has been a passion of mine, and I'm thrilled that we're able to have this opportunity for students. And I'm thrilled that Diana has invited us to join you today. All right, so let me keep going ahead here. So just a little thing, and you probably have heard a lot of this already across different sessions you're in, so I'm not going to read through it, but it's basically just that respectful of others, respectful of self, try to reduce distractions and all that good stuff while you're in our time together. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Patience. She is going to give you a quick tour around our virtual Mountie Money Management Center hub. So take it away, Patience.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So in the chat box, you're going to find that I've placed a link and it says self-register for the MMMC. And like your ACES hub, this will make the MMMC pop up on your Canvas dashboard so you can find us at any point in time. Joining the hub is very, very important to the MMMC because we do have a very short and super easy quiz for you at the end of the workshop. And by taking that quiz that ends in an anonymous survey, that helps us to be able to keep our doors open and to continue to provide services to help all students. When you click on the Canvas dashboard card, just like we're in another class, this is the first page that you're going to see. And you can meet Ray. And I'll show you Ray. Ta-da, there's Ray. Ray is our logo here at the MMMC. And he is here to help you understand and show you around the 3 different areas that we have to help students. So as you can see in our 6-box landing page, we have the front desk and our workshops and webinars. And then you can see current events, about us, social media, and other resources. So I did say 3 things. The third one is that we schedule one-on-one appointments with you and a financial counselor. It's Lisa. Lisa's our financial counselor, and you can always schedule an appointment with her via email or by dropping into the front desk, and we'll schedule things with you. And you can have a one-on-one appointment to help you understand your budget, your money needs, and to talk about creating a plan moving forward that works especially for you. So one of the ways that you can reach us to do that, other than our email, is by clicking into the front desk. Right now, we're only 1 month old, so we are not there for 40 hours a week. But by the time we get back to campus, we will be open 40 hours a week. And we do have a space reserved on campus just for us. So at this point in time, we are open between 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. on Monday and Tuesday. And on Wednesday and Thursday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we have short hours on Friday between 10 a.m. and 12. Once you check to see if you're within those hours, go ahead and click the blue link at the bottom and you can find us. If you would like to schedule an appointment, again, here's the email right at the bottom, and we can schedule an appointment with a financial counselor anytime between Monday through Friday, 7 to 7. We also have the second part, our workshops and webinars. Our workshops and webinars are something that we have ongoing and weekly. Every single week, we have a new workshop. And we cover all sorts of different topics from identity theft and fraud to what are good ideas with credit, what are bad ideas with credit. And you can also find our past workshops in here as well. So that's the good ideas with credit workshop. This one's the bad ideas with credit with workshop, and setting goals for your money. You can also drop into the the front desk at any point in time to find out about the content of these workshops, and we'll just talk you through these things one-on-one. In addition, this is where you register to click those blue links to register. Right now, our current events are collaborations that we have with others. So you can click in here to find information that we have that supports California State University of Long Beach and of Northridge. So I won't go through this all right here and now because we do want to move forward into the workshop, but just know that this is where you can find that information. We've got our About Us, and you can meet the whole team. And as we move forward, we are going to continue to hire, so you will see information there about working with us. And here's our team bio, so you can learn a little more about us. The last two, this one down here, our resources page is under development, and our social media leads directly to our Instagram page where you can follow us, follow, and get updates. So that's everything that we have for the MMMC. And now we have our workshop with a lot of additional great information. As we move forward, I'll be dropping the specific files that we're going to be talking about. And the whole set of files was in that zip folder that I dropped earlier. But I will be bringing them to you one-on-one, one by one, so that you don't have to worry about if you can't unzip that file.
And you might have noticed you didn't see anything like beyond March for the workshops. One of the files that patients sent to you is our list of workshops going forward from April 1st on. Actually, it has the March ones in it too, but going forward to the end of the semester. And we'll probably add more as we go along because we're getting a lot of college employees who are interested in doing workshops as well, which is wonderful. So today we're going to cover some money management basics, and it aligns with what Diana was mentioning earlier about the money earned, money spent, money saved. So we're going to be looking at those basics. So the money management basics. So the ones we're going to focus on today are going to be setting goals for your money, budgeting to reach your goals, and then creating financial security during uncertain times. And let's be honest, we all have uncertain times throughout our lives. And then kind of wrapping it up a little bit, and then doing a post-workshop survey. And it is, like she mentioned, it is kind of a two-parter with that. It is all to help support us with the work that we're doing. And so we appreciate you going in and taking a few minutes at the end of the workshop today to do that for us. Okay, oh, there we go. All right, so just kind of an overview, and if you ever are in, which I hope you are, come to any of our other workshops this semester, this is going to be a standard slide that you're going to see on everyone, because we want to make sure people are thinking about the basics. So we live in a financial world, and the ability to manage your money is a basic skill that we all need, and here's why. We need to keep a roof over our head. We need to have less stress by avoiding the struggle to pay our bills. When we manage our money, it's allowing us to stay in school, which is super important. We're working towards those goals that we have. It helps you to reach your personal and your professional goals, and it paves the way for healthy relationships. Research has shown that that one of the main reasons people divorce is because of money. But if you step back a little bit more, it's not just necessarily about money. It's about communication and the healthy relationship. So when you have a healthy relationship, you can ride out those tough times with money. When the relationship is tough, that's going to be really hard. When the communication is tough, it's going to be hard to work through some of those money struggles. And I think a lot of us have seen that in our lives, or personally experienced it with relationships that we've had. And then a big part of all of this is saving. So and you're actually going to see this again later in my presentation today, because it's super important. So savings is an important tool to help you to reach your goal. And what is savings? It's a portion of your income that's not spent on current bills and expenses. And also that it's important too, that you're putting it aside for the future, and you're putting it in a safe place so that it's there for you when you need it. Okay, so the basics we're going to focus on today, I mentioned those already, but just again here for you. And the first one is setting goals for your money. Second one, budgeting to reach your goals. And the third one, creating financial security during uncertain times. And the fourth one there, the number 4, budgeting to reach your goals. It's not just like the big picture goals, but everyday goals. We need to make sure that we can make it from, I hate this phrase, by the way, because unfortunately our society teaches and trains us this way, but from paycheck to paycheck. Yes, it's super important that we can make it from one paycheck to another paycheck, but we need to switch our minds around a little bit so that we're like, yeah, one paycheck, next one's coming, but not only am I good in this paycheck time period, but I'm good. I've got some money put aside so that when that next paycheck comes, I'm not stressed wondering when it's coming and is it enough to cover my next set of bills that I have. All right, so setting goals for your money. So that's the first file. Actually, I'll show it to you in just a second here. So setting goals for your money is super, super important. When we don't have goals set, then we're just kind of following things, and maybe we're like, I don't want to set goals because I want to have fun, and fun is important. So set a goal to have fun. That's super important. But if we're just kind of rolling through life and we're not setting goals, then it's going to be hard to move forward to get to the things that we want to get to. So goals are the things we want to accomplish. They involve effort, and they often involve money, and they definitely involve time. So there's 2 categories of goals that we can have. There's financial goals and there's non-financial goals. Sometimes we don't realize that those are the 2 categories. So financial goals are going to be those goals that specifically involve money. So for example, might be to buy a car. It's kind of hard to buy a car if you don't have money. Another one's paying your bills. You got to have money to get your bills paid. And then let's throw something fun in there, like going on vacations, because we're going to get back there. Seems like every week the promise of that coming forward is going to be happening closer and closer. And I know there's a lot of new news out there. Be cautious, do what you're comfortable with. And if you've heard stuff with a lot of reopening happening, but be careful, don't just dive in because people say you can. Okay, do what you're comfortable with. That's my thing with all that. Then there's the non-financial goals. So those are goals that indirectly involve money, such as maintaining your health or having healthy relationships or raising children, or even being successful in school. It indirectly involves money because you have to be able to buy your books and, well, when we're on campus, transportation to and from campus, some source of funds to pay for your fees and all that. When you're thinking about all this, focus on the things that 2 categories here. One, that keeps you up at night. So those things that you're stressing about, that you're worrying about, those are definitely things to focus on. The other one is the more fun, exciting one. We're focused on those goals that give you energy and enthusiasm that you're excited about. That's where you should focus first. So when you're thinking about all that as well, too, there's 3 different categories related to time with our goals. So there's short-term goals, and these usually take us a year or less to accomplish. For example, if you were transferring to university after this semester, that would be a short-term goal. For some of you, making it through the weekend, getting your schoolwork done, that's a very short-term goal. and a very important one. Intermediate goals are goals that take you 1 to 5 years to accomplish. So for example, if you're planning to transfer to university, then graduating from university would be an intermediate goal. If you're planning to go on and get your master's degree, depending on where you are with your time at Mount SAC here, that might also be an intermediate goal. It also might be a long-term goal, which are 5 years or more to accomplish. So some examples of that might be, getting your master's degree or PhD, if that's where your goals are. Buying a house, maybe, planning for retirement and retiring. I'm retiring in 7 years. Doesn't mean I don't love my job. It means I have a plan and I'm working towards that goal to accomplish that. And again, here's that little note about savings. It's that portion of income that's not spent on our bills and current expenses and that we set aside for our future. And here's just a little thought too about short-term goals and long-term goals. I'm going to approach it from both sides. I have it written from the short term, but we need the short-term goals to help us to accomplish our long-term goals. An example of that is buying a house. If you're constantly think, oh my gosh, housing is so expensive, there's no way I'm ever going to be able to buy a house, because you're thinking like this big chunk of money is just like magically going to appear when you're ready to buy a house. Got to back up to when you start thinking about that and you're working and you can put money aside. That then every month, like a short-term goal is to put X dollar amount aside to savings towards buying a house. That way, and then keeping that house in mind. And then each month you're putting some aside and it keeps growing and growing and growing. And then you're ready to put that down payment on that house to buy that house. The flip side is we need to have long-term goals in order to help us to forgive ourselves and the mistakes that we make with our short-term goals, because we're human. We make mistakes sometimes. You planned to save money for something and then something else came up that you wanted to do. You wanted to get together with your friends safely, of course, right? Thinking post-COVID here. So we can spend our money that we didn't plan to and then forgive ourselves. Next month, I'm going to get back on track and keep working towards that goal. All right, brainstorming time. So I want you to do a couple different things, write stuff down, throw it in the chat. I got to find my chat back up here again because I lost it. So tell me what some of your personal financial goals are. And it could be short-term, remember, intermediate, or long-term goals that you have. Retirement, very good. Super important goal. College saving for kids. Yes, that's a good one. I started saving for college for my daughter when I should have started when she was a baby, but I think I started when she was like 3 or 4 or 5. And I put aside $100 a month for her. And it's not a huge amount of money that she has, but it's a nice chunk there. It's not going to cover, like if she went to USC, definitely wouldn't cover that, but it'll definitely be a nice chunk towards that. Dream house, buy a car, vacations, buy a home. Yes, very good. Start saving for college tuition. Those are all very, very good ones. Student loans, yes. We're going to do a workshop later this semester on your finances and transferring to university. And I'm smiling big because Diana is going to be one of the people that's going to be involved with that workshop. I'm super excited about that. So this is a spreadsheet. I actually use this in my personal finance class, and we used it when we did a workshop a couple weeks ago on goal setting. So because of our limited time today, we won't have a chance to like work through it. But I want you to use it with your goal setting, because I think a lot of times we have all these ideas in our heads, and sometimes it's hard to like put them down on paper and work towards that. So I have it broken out with short-term goals, intermediate, and long-term goals, and for each of your goals and what's the date you plan to accomplish that goal. By the way, know that the deadlines for our goals can change. Okay, so be kind to yourself with that. Unless it's like, no, this is hard, fast, set. I'm going to do it by this day. Then that's awesome too. And then what's the priority level of that goal? Is it low? Is it moderate? Is it high? Because that helps you then to figure out, what do I need to focus on first? And then what's the current cost of that goal? So if it's buying a house, how much would that house cost today if you were to buy it? That helps you to kind of get a grasp on like, how much money do I need to save? Now, maybe that goal is 10 years from now. So obviously housing prices are going to be different, but you have a sense today of what things might cost, so that can help you to see, okay? Let's see what else. Oh, and then how do you plan to accomplish it? So this is for you to break down those steps. And like Patience mentioned, if you are looking at this going, I'm stuck, during the headlights. Like, come join us. Come, make an appointment with me. I'll be happy to sit down and work you through it, or jump in the front desk, the virtual front desk with the Money Management Center. We'll be happy to answer questions for you there. All right. I am going to go to the next one, which is budgeting. And when I was putting this together, I'm like, and that's a workshop too. So, and one of our goals actually, when we get back on campus this fall, is to, we're in our physical space for the first time for us, is to have budgeting time for students. So kind of a time set aside each week where students can come and talk about budgeting and talk about strategies that are working for them and all that. So stay tuned on that. We will have that this fall for you. And maybe if people want it this spring, we can set aside a time to do some virtual time with that as well. So what is a budget? A budget is, actually got my, hang on a second here. I want to move things so I can see it in front of you too. All right. A budget's a plan for spending your money. So it's a spending plan. So if you don't like the title budget, if it just like gives you the creeps, so you just want to like cover your face and not look at it, think of it as a spending plan. It's looking at your money that's coming in, usually called income, but not all money that's coming in is truly like income, like from a job or something. Maybe you have scholarship money.Maybe you have financial aid money, grant money that you received, birthday money. Maybe you filed your taxes and you're going to get a tax refund, things like that. Those are all categorized as income because it's money coming in. So that's one main part of a budget. The other main part is the money going out. So the expenses that you have. And when you consider all that, you also need to include savings, because savings, even though it still stays yours, you're moving it out of the available money to spend. So you need to include that into your budget as well. All right, so question time. Do you currently have a budget? So let's do that one first. So just a little yes or no in the chat. Look at you guys. This is awesome. Woohoo! I'm glad to see this. This is so awesome. Not yet. It's all good. Everybody who's like, oh, no, not me yet. No worries. You're going to get there. All right. And a budget helps to reduce your stress. Okay. So if you have a budget, now we'll shift over to that question. If you have a budget, how is it working for you and why? You can just be like, thumbs up thing, but you can be like, it's working great. Budget on the phone. All right. You'll see when I show you at the end our list of workshops for April through June, we don't have one yet on budget apps, but we're going to be looking at adding a workshop in on that, because there's so many different ways that you can use to keep track of your budget. I use my phone all the time, but I have never used it for a budget app, but I think that's a cool idea to do that. All right, so let's go ahead to the next one. Here are the steps now for budgeting. There's five. COVID really threw a hitch in a lot of people's lives. And that's what you said right there is a great segue for my last topic for today, which we'll cover that in just a minute, about the unexpected and things that we can do to help us with that. So these are the 5 steps for budgeting. It's pretty simple. It's hard sometimes for us to do it though. Okay, I totally understand that. So the first step that we need to do is to sit down and see how we're spending our money. So tracking for usually a period of a month is best, because you can take into consideration all expenses that you have, because some of your expenses are only once a month. If you have ones that are like once every 6 months or once a year, once every 3 or 4 months, make a note of those as well, because you're going to need to include those as a part of your budget so that you can make sure that you have things covered when you have the money for it. Then then you look at it and see how things went. And the second step then is to create your spending plan or your budget, and do whatever works for you. I'm going to show you from afar what mine looks like. You're going to be probably going to be surprised, because people think like when you teach this stuff that you have like this really high-tech budget. No high-tech budget. Okay, but it's going to flash it. Okay, so you like can't see all of it, but that's me. It's on paper. That's how I do my budgeting, because you know what? I like to have it close by me. And I know people with the phone, the apps and everything, and that's really awesome too. I like to for me, I look at the big picture and I go, I'm taking care of all of my major expenses and I'm putting aside a big chunk to savings, and the rest of it, I get to do what I choose to do with it. Now, bear in mind, I have a fixed income. Okay, so that I'm sure makes a difference as well. I have a set salary that I receive every month, and a lot of my bills are pretty consistent from month to month. So that does make a difference for me. All right. But use what it is that works best for you. I put a note, there's a sample budget in the chat that in that file that Patience gave, and I'm actually going to show, let's see, let me go back to that. I don't think I've ever done a workshop before where I had so many files that I'm showing, but it's all good. All right, so here's one, and this is actually my super basic one. I need to redo it so it shows up on just one screen instead of having to scroll down, but it does all the calculations for you, and you can add rows into it. I think the file that I gave you guys actually has your name on it, and it says part 2. Ignore that. That's a file I use for my personal finance class. So it has lots of categories. You can add other categories in for expenses. So that is one option. And you'll notice here that there's, let me see what I have that, if I have that listed right here. Don't. Okay, I'll talk about that in just a minute here. But you'll notice that there's the income at the top, and then you've got a section for fixed expenses, and those are expenses that are the same every month. So things like your car payment or your rent, cell phone payment. If you have a landline, I haven't had one in years, but if you have a landline, or your internet, if you have cable or other like Netflix, maybe, you have to bear in mind, like all those little things that we have sometimes is $5 a month, $10 a month, those can really add up. So make sure you're keeping track of those with your fixed expenses. And then look down here, we've got the monthly contribution to savings. So you want to make sure you're setting aside a certain amount every month to savings. Super important. And also there's another, I don't know why I don't have them here together, but you've got your emergency fund as well. Emergency fund is different from savings. Your emergency fund is money you set aside in case of emergencies. And emergencies can be so many different things, from I got less hours at work, to my car got a flat tire, to I just drew a blank, but any like emergencies, right? It's something that you're like, oh, I didn't have money in my checking account for that this month, but I've got a cushion in my savings, so I can go into that and I'm not going to feel bad about it. But I am going to work to pull that money back up then and get more money in my emergency fund after that happens. We also have expenses that are not paid every month. So some of you do pay your auto insurance every month. If you can shift it from paying it every month to paying it once every 6 months or once a year, depending on how the policy is, you'll save money. So that does take a shift though. So you're going to need to save money to get you to that point, so you don't have that big expense and go, uh-oh, I don't know how to pay for it now. All right. Another one is education expenses. You don't pay the same amount every month. Sometimes that's like every 3 months. Obviously, books aren't every month. Thank goodness for that. So those different things, and even like your registration on your car, or your driver's license renewal, things like that that cost you money. Making sure you have money set aside for it. And then with the emergency fund, I just mentioned that, but just kind of moving along down the list here. That's that money set aside for those emergencies. So 3 months of living expenses is what's super important to have there, because you just never know what might happen. All right. And then the variable expenses. These are things that are not the same amount every month. They vary month to month. So things like buying groceries or eating out, buying clothing. My boyfriend teased me this morning. Sadly, we were on a funeral for his brother this morning, and I'm wearing jeans. And he's like, "You're wearing jeans." I'm like, "Nobody sees us from like here above." So probably a lot of us, like when we go back to work on campus and such, or school on campus, we might realize that we need to start buying pants that we didn't buy before, or skirts if that's what you like to wear. But right now, you know, sweatpants, and as long as people see you here, we're good, right? All right, personal care. And that's a category a lot of people haven't been spending a lot of money on: getting our nails done, hair colored, haircut, the hair, all that different kinds of things. All right. And of course, entertainment is a super important category as well there. And then this is, and like another category in this is if you're carrying credit cards, credit card bills from month to month, and you're paying interest on that. So it's a good idea to make note of it in here, because then you realize how much you're actually paying in interest for that. And then this is going to calculate all of it. So this is your plan, right? And so when you put in your plan and you put in your income, it's going to tell you how much you have left over. And if that becomes a negative number, then you got to go back and adjust your expenses so that your income is not less than your expenses. Super important. All right. that one. And then I want to show you the other one. This one's not fillable. I just wanted to show you for examples. There's so many examples out there. I know it's not full screen, but just kind of covering up for a second there. This one's prettier, but it's not fillable. So, do what works for you, or just, Google and, Google to find a budget that you like, or look and see what fintech, what financial technology apps are out there that might be of interest to you to use. The main important thing is to use a tool that works for you. All right. So whatever format you use for your budget / spending plan, follow it. So set it up, create it, set it up, follow it for a month, see how it goes. Did it work? Did it not work? You might need to try that same format for a couple months and see if it works for you. And then when you kind of have your groove with things, then keep using that. And then if it stops working, then find a different tool that works for you. Remember though, that no 2 months are the same. So you're going to create a new budget for each month. Now, obviously you might not do it the same way I do, where I literally have a completely separate budget for each month, because I have, like right now, I have my March budget. And then I'll create a page for my April budget and so on. Some of you are more spreadsheet oriented, and you'll be like, no, I'm going to have it, my expenses and income listed on the side, and then each month across the top, and then I'm going to tally everything down. And that is awesome too. So goal is repeat monthly. If you're familiar with Dave Ramsey, he has the concept of the zero balance budget. And that's pretty much how I do my budgeting. Like every dollar has a purpose each month, whether the money that comes in is spent on expenses or spent on savings towards future things. It says you could be Mint or Prism app for budgeting your finance. Yep, you could use those. Absolutely.
I use Mint.
Okay, cool. And Mint is free. Is that correct?
I have it for free because I was a member of Home Depot. I had a credit store,
Okay.
a credit card, and there was a data breach, and all Home Depot people that were affected received Mint for free.
Okay. And Javier is saying too that it is free now. So I think a lot of these apps, like if you've looked at something before and it was for charge, look at it again, because a lot of times they're offering things for free because they sneak in that advertising. Oh, by the way, when we're talking about all this, I am not a first, what do they call that? An innovator. I'm not the person who, as soon as something new comes out, I jump on board. I'm not, I'm going to think about this for a little bit, but I am a huge fan of Credit Karma. I think it is super awesome. It helps you to look and see what's going on with your finances, to look, especially if you have, the biggest part is if you have credit cards, because then you can see how you're doing with your credit. You can see your credit scores, you can see your credit report all within that. And I got it on my phone, so I can always look at it. Clark Howard podcast for budgeting. Yep, that's a good one too. I used to follow his stuff. I haven't followed it for a little bit because I've gotten like the information overload, but yeah, he's got some good stuff there too. All right, next one. And I think I covered part of it. Oh yeah, Credit Karma. I'm glad you like that. I'm a big fan. And I know there's so much advertising in it. I think a lot of us have learned to just put the filters on and be like, okay, scroll past the advertising. No, I don't want a new credit card. I want the core parts of here to look at that are important to me. All right, so we talked about this, but I've got it here in the slide. So just real quickly going back over it. So what's going to be included in your budget? It's super important if you have a regular income that you budget. And a lot of you probably have irregular income. And that means, like, let's say that you're a student assistant, that you have like on campus. I use that in quotes right now because it's not really on campus, but a campus job. And maybe you work 19 hours a week sometimes, and maybe you work 5 sometimes. That's irregular income. So it's important that you budget when you have a regular income, as well as when you have like a consistent income, to keep track of things. I actually had, I forget who was talking about, looking at my chat here, Candelaria, you were talking about with COVID hitting, I had strangely the opposite effect happen. I think it's because I had so many projects I was doing and I literally wasn't spending money. And all of a sudden I was looking at my pay stubs and my accounts and I'm like, why am I, wait a minute, like I need to like shift things around and do some things differently. So even when money is good, you still need to be budgeting. I think a lot of times people think about budgeting being important when times are tough, but budgeting is always important. Just think about if you're making good money or whatever good money is for you, right? Because it's all relative. You got a little bump in pay instead of going, hey, girls' night or guys' night. Now it's like, hey, wait, that money goes towards saving towards whatever one of my goals is. All right, so listing all the different things about savings and fixed expenses and variable expenses again for you there. Another workshop that we're going to be doing in April, I forget exactly when in April it is. And for the, I know there's some Mount SAC employees on here too. We're actually doing this workshop for through POD for Mount SAC employees. So you're welcome to join us for the student one or join us for the employee one as well through POD. So what's that?
Or both.
Or both, yeah, or both, exactly. So when COVID hit and a couple months in, I attended a workshop and it basically was creating financial stability during uncertain times. And so that tool that you see in there is the tool that we received from that workshop. And I just thought it was outstanding because we often don't think about what those tough times are going to be like until we're in them. And then we're like, so much is going on. We're trying to manage that. And then we're trying to think about all those other things. And so this is kind of a little template that helps you to prepare. Maybe you're in a tough time right now and it can really help you where you are, or maybe you're not, and it can help you now so that you prepare for the future. So Javier says, how should we budget our money with our stimulus check? That's a great question. And we have, okay, not that I'm trying to sell, this is all free, by the way, but I'm selling. There's a workshop coming up on March 30th. Stephen Valdez, who is an accounting faculty member at Mount SAC, he is doing a workshop called Tackling Taxes. And he is going to be talking about, I just drew a blank on what it's called. Hang on a second here. Bear with me 2 seconds. Let me grab my list. Oh, I don't have it in front of me. There's a new act that was passed by our government, our federal government, like 3 days ago. And one of the elements within it is that you do not have to pay any income taxes on the first $10,000 of unemployment money that you receive, which is huge. That's really huge. So if you're looking at me right now and you've already filed your taxes, you will be hearing back about that. But join Stephen on the 30th. He's going to be answering lots of questions for all of you. When you get your stimulus check, and I'm understanding those are hitting now, I'm not getting one, and I'm totally okay with that because I'm okay with my work. So I'm grateful there. But let's look at the chat here. With your stimulus check, be careful with it. I guess it's the best advice that I would have. If you're doing okay right now, it might make sense to put that in savings. If you need that money to cover your expenses, look at what you have going on now, look at what might be coming up for you, and try to be careful with it so that you're spreading it out accordingly. Now, I know it's super tempting. I mean, we all do these things. Like I got a tax refund, and it would have been so super tempting to just go out and like spend it on something fun, right? And a lot of times people will say, you know what? Break it up into parts. So maybe you spend a tiny bit on doing something fun with it so that you're not feeling just like, oh, everything is just so unfun right now. So use a little bit of it for fun. If you can put part of it in savings, put part of it in savings. But if you really need to use that stimulus check for paying for your expenses, then do that. Okay. And then if you have more questions, we'll be happy to help you at the virtual front desk or with one-on-one sessions with me. Okay. All right, let's see what else. Yes, great answer there. And okay. Okay, is it so not to have a savings account? We have 2 checking accounts and we save cash on hand. So the thing about a savings account is that it helps to protect your money. It's protected by, if it's within a bank, it's protected by the FDIC. If it's up to, my brain just went blank, up to $250,000. I don't know about you, but the majority of the population doesn't have to worry about that. There's more details with it, but I'm just giving you a rough on that. If you're with a credit union, it's the same type of thing, but it's protected, same dollar amount by the NCUA. It's a credit union version of the FDIC. So I highly recommend, 2 things I recommend. I highly recommend checking accounts and I highly recommend credit unions. We have, if you are a school employee, some of you might be, Schools First is a wonderful credit union to be a part of. There are lots of other credit unions as well, though, around LA County, Orange County, that students, even if you're not working, that you could be eligible to join. So check that out. I totally recommend that. They also, another thing I love about credit unions is that they have low interest rates when you borrow money. They have lower interest rates if you get credit cards with them, and they tend to have a higher interest rates on savings. Now I know savings rates are very small, but it's still a little bit. And then with it too, and I get it. I'm a stasher at my house because I think it's important. I'm not like the old lady with the books full of money. Okay, I know we hear about that, but I have a place where I keep extra bills, singles, fives, tens, 20s, so that in case we have a financial emergency that I don't have money in my wallet, but I don't have to worry to rely on technology to be able to make purchases. Now I hope that never happens. But we live in earthquake country, so we just never know. So it's good to have some cash on hand, absolutely. But be careful that you don't have too much in case somebody finds out that what you have and where you have it, and then finds a way to take it from you. So you just have to be careful there. All right. Yeah, Schools First is great. I love Schools First. But if you're not eligible to be part of Schools First, don't stress. There's other ones that are really awesome there too. All right. Okay, so creating financial stability during uncertain times. So like I mentioned earlier, we all are going to have tough times. There's so many others I didn't mention on here, but some of the things that can happen is job loss. I'm just thinking about things that have happened in the past year to people. Job loss, job reduction, housing insecurity, other pandemic related struggles, like the stressors of like some of the things we've been buying that we wouldn't have bought before, like all the hand sanitizer and the masks and things like that. The impact of the choices we make. Hopefully make the best choices we can with the information that we have, but we don't always make the best choices. How do I know that? Because I do the same thing. There are times, I remember years ago, there was a time where we all wanted to go to Disneyland. And before I paid my bills, I said, I'm buying tickets for Disneyland. And we went, and it was awesome. And then the next day I went to sit down to pay my bills, and I couldn't pay my bills because I'd spent too much money at Disneyland for everybody. So it was a choice I made, and it put me in a really tough bind then to figure out what my next steps were going to be for that month, because I wasn't very good at saving back then. Being a college student can be a very tough time. Those of us who aren't college students anymore have been there as a college student. So we understand. We may not understand your specific situation because we're not you, of course, but we've all been college students, and we know how tough it can be on so many different levels for students. Starting a family is another example. That's a major life change. So throw some stuff in the chat there. What are some tough times that you have been through? Or if you're like, I don't want to talk about me, what are some tough times that you know other people have been through? Thank goodness we have it, right? Because there are so many people who didn't have it. Like, I know there's like, people talk about housing, and there's like this dichotomy right now. And I live in Arcadia, where the average house is 1 point, but by the way, I should preface that I'm a renter right now. Hard times, I went through a divorce 9 years ago. And so I've made a lot of choices for my child over myself personally because of our situation. So I'm a renter, and you can rent or own, whichever is, your preference, but I would never ever judge someone on their choices. Because some people go, you're a college professor and you like teach this stuff. Why do you rent? Because it's my choice right now because of where I am. But I see where I am, and like there's all these places up for rent, but there's not a lot of houses up for sale because it's kind of like this dichotomy. So if you have money, you're buying. If you don't have money, you're moving out of where you're renting and moving in with other people, which increases those financial stressors. So you're absolutely right about the savings. And it's so awesome that you and your husband had that, and the other supports as well too. And thank you for the work that you do. I really appreciate that. A lot of people are saving more now because they've realized that if it didn't impact them personally, people they knew were impacted by that, by job loss or reduction of hours and such. And I know a lot of our schools are opening back up. I live in Arcadia. Arcadia schools are opening back up by middle of April. And I'm nervous about all of it because increased exposure and everything. And I'm nervous there's going to be another spike. And so I'm grateful that Mount SAC is kind of holding off a little bit, that we're not planning on doing the return until fall, until it's a little bit safer. So yeah, and I, when it's our turn, get your vaccine and practice the careful things that you need to do, because even just like thinking about it, some people go, what's the big deal? You get COVID. It's like, some people will say it's like the flu. Okay. And I know I've heard those before. You've all heard that, but just think about it. I know coworkers that have gotten COVID and they've been out sick for 2-3 weeks. So do you have, if you're working an hourly rate, do you have the money to be able to pay your expenses if you can't work for 3 weeks. Or even if you're quarantined, because maybe you can't, maybe your work covers you, they're still paying your income, maybe they don't, so all those things that we have to think about. So thank you so much. And lots of great things in the chat here. Losing your home due to inability to pay bills. That is such a hard one. That is really, really tough. And the school tuition and all that. Thank you. All right. Okay, so we talked about these. Oh, so basically, so this is a huge one. When you're thinking about where are my finances, what is going on, the number one thing you need to think of is keeping that roof over your head. That is the number one priority. Number two priority is food on the table. Number three priority is making those bills. And whether, like, if you have credit cards, if things are tough, making those minimum payments. Because if you can't pay more, at least paying the minimum keeps them at bay, not knocking on your door saying you haven't paid and we're going to put you into default and we're going to go after collections with you and all that. We don't want that happening. Okay. By the way, more workshops on that too, where we will dive a lot deeper. I just got the 8-minute text from patients here too. All right. So I'm going to show you, hang on just a second. Oh, these are within the worksheet. So I'm going to go, yes, self-care. Patients just did the self-care thing. I will tell you though, it's really funny. I have coworkers are like, and people keep posting around going, stop it with the self-care. Because because they're like, oh, we know you're working like X number of hours more than you're supposed to and everything. I'm looking for my file here, so if I'm looking funny here. All right. And by the way, don't forget to practice self-care. And it's like, I'm dying over here. But try to practice self-care, okay? It is super important. So here's a worksheet that was in there. It is a fillable PDF. I think it has an amazing resource for you. So fill this out, keep this somewhere that is accessible to you. Maybe keep it with your monthly finances so that you can look back to it and keep it updated. So like, especially when you're in a tough time, what are your current balances? Maybe you don't need that right now to look at that, but maybe you do. Okay, so what are the balances? What do I have going on here? What are the debts that I have? Because that can help you with the whole picture. We're going to be doing some workshops going forward. We did one already, but we're going to be doing more workshops about managing debt this semester. Because I'll tell you, an hour is not enough to deep dive in any of these topics. So we hit as much as we can and then do another one for you.
We have 3 topics that we covered today. So we definitely have the availability to have you guys come see us in our full workshops where we go in depth on each one of these different topics about the savings, about the budgeting, and about the savings in uncertain times.
And then if you feel like you still don't have enough, or if you can't attend the workshop, then just drop in the one-on-one desk, the virtual front desk, and ask questions there or make an appointment with me, and we'll be happy to go over things more. This one right here, number 2, is a huge one, stabilizing your cash flow. So looking at those different options you have, and the biggest parts, it's looking at money coming in and money going out. So first of all, money coming in, if maybe my hours were cut back or I lost my job, what is it I can do to increase my income? Can I get a side gig? Can I, like my sister did something, she was just already has an Etsy business, small business. Holy moly, did she ever go crazy? She's been making masks. It's basically like a second full-time job for her since COVID hit. So sometimes that like randomly happens to us, and sometimes it's a very conscious plan that we have to create that. Then the other part there is cutting where you can. So when times are tough, we need to look at what expenses we can cut. And sometimes even when times aren't tough, maybe you're like, I just need to save more money and not spend more money. People who've worked with me know that usually this is not a glass of water. Usually it's the cup with Starbucks logo on it. When I go for my power walk in the morning, my treat is my iced coffee. So could I cut that out? I could. I'm not in a financial situation where I need to, but if I was, that would be one of the first things that would go. And then the last part with that is then building your support system. This is super huge. You have heard today from some resources. We joined you guys a little early today, so we heard about the Mountie Fresh Food Pantry. Amazing resource. There's a lot of other resources at the campus that can help you too as well. So make a list of those resources that you have for available to you. And also make resources here. And like, here's one right here, the accredited financial counselor. Well, you're looking at someone who is really close to that. Okay. So if you wanted to, you can put my name on that. I am earning my hours. I'm taking the exam in about 3 weeks. So I'm planning to, I'm practicing as an education, a financial education professor, and doing financial counseling. And I will be officially certified by the end of this, I believe by the summer. So I'm super excited about that. So looking at those resources available to you, as well as credible resources like website resources that you might need. One of those resources that you might need is going to be annualcreditreport.com. So thinking about all of that. All right, then I know you've been sharing throughout, so I'm going to skip over this because I think we have 2 minutes left. Patience shared with you the file that has our upcoming workshops from Monday, March 15th, all the way through the week before finals in June. So you have that. And then she's got this quiz for you, which is really a survey quiz. It's called a quiz because it's in Canvas. So she's got the link for you in the chat. And Patience, I'm going to let you take it away from there to explain to them how they do that.
Awesome. Okay.
Should I unshare
a lot of the technical? No, please keep it up.
Okay.
So they have access to the QR codes. So again, if you haven't noticed, you figured out, I run a lot of the background stuff. So what we have up here are 2 QR codes. The QR code in the black is the first link that I provided at the beginning of our hour, which self-enrolls you into the MMMC. Again, this is an important step because we do have that quiz, which is only accessible by those who have self-enrolled. The quiz is how we keep our doors open, and it is a vital part of the process here with our workshops. The green QR code, once you have self-enrolled, the green QR code will get you to the same place as this last link that I put into the chat box, and that launches the quiz. The quiz is a 4-part question and 1 link that will take you outside of Canvas, and it will redirect you into a Qualtrics webpage, which will ask you 3 questions, which are completely anonymous. But again, it's a part of what helps to keep us open here as a Title V funded project at Mount SAC.
It also helps to keep us to know what you need.
Yes.
An example of that is from a couple of our workshop students said, can you please make these 90 minutes long or 2 hours? And so we thought 2 hours might be a little much for a lot of people, but we're definitely going forward starting April, beginning of April, our workshops will now be 90 minutes long.
Yes, absolutely. There are opportunities to provide us feedback with the content that we have provided. Feel free to, in the open general section on question 3, ask us questions, leave feedback, tell us your thoughts, and we will be able to follow up with those, any direct questions that were put in there, and we will be able to answer them. The link at the very end is as important as the first question. The first question, Lisa, if you could bring us back to our secret answers, which we've provided for you.
Oops, is it? Oh, sorry. Brain went blank for a second there. My
So
Saturday brain.
There are 5 answers to the first question, 5 very important answers as to why we're even here and how we are able to support all of the Mount SAC students with financial literacy. 5 things that you'll want to click on out of, I think, 10, but 5 is definitely what you're searching for. Not that I'm giving you any hints at all. I'm giving you answers. But we do want to make sure that everybody has been paying attention and gaining what we are here to help you with. And so what we're here to help everybody with is to understand the importance and purpose of financial literacy in our own lives. And towards that end, we also have these workshops, our one-on-one drop-ins, and our one-on-one counseling that can help each and every individual here to achieve those goals that are so important by understanding the 5 reasons why financial literacy is important to all of us. So if you haven't got the hint, there might be 5 things to click on answer number 1, and the rest of the questions are just feedback for us. And again, the survey at the very end will redirect you to a very important page, and that helps us to keep our doors open and again, providing workshops. So that wraps up what I have to say. I'm sorry, we have gone 2 minutes over. So we desperately thank you for all of your patience with us and bearing with us. If you have any questions, feel free to email us or drop in. We will be reopened on Monday at 3 p.m. for our front desk. Anybody who is a Promise Plus or Bridge student who receives credit for workshops, we will also be providing this information to those programs, so you don't have to worry about reporting. They will already have all of that to give you credit as needed.